We welcome you to the March 5th, 2026 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231 Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 17th, 2025, setting forth the schedule of meetings for the year 2025-2026. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised this meeting will be conducted in person. The Zoom stream provided is for viewing only and is offered to the public as a convenience. On February 18, 2026, public notice and Zoom instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on the City of Passaic website at www.cityofpassaic.com, Council Agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilman Love?
Present.
Councilwoman Mello?
Present.
Councilman Mayor?
Present.
Councilman Garcia?
Present.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez? And Council President Scher.
Present. Shall we all please rise?
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you, Lord, for allowing us to meet this evening. We ask you to please guide us in the decisions that will take place this evening. In your beloved name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council President, if I may,
Councilman Love.
just ask for a moment of silence for one of our citizens who've reached the landmark of 100 years old, who just transitioned on yesterday, and that's Miss Rosa King.
Moment of silence. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We are on the agenda tonight. There is one addendum to item 5A. Office of Congresswoman Nellie Poe submitting a correspondence regarding the City of Passaic's infrastructure improvements project located at 86-34 and 34-10 Parker Avenue in Passaic. On the agenda, we're on hearing of citizens, room number 4. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 etc. The council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias, intimidation, in which a person attempts to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. If you would like to address the council, we ask that you please share with us your name. Anyone like to address the council? Yes, sir.
Gotta wait in line.
That's it. Not cutting anybody off today. Joshua Goldman, 185 High Street. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the council. I also want to thank Mr. Fernandez for inviting myself as a member of the public to attend the planning board meeting that occurred last night to hear some of the discussions that went by. I'm going to address, it's on the agenda tonight as item number 26, although I'm not speaking to what's on the agenda, just a related item that came up at the meeting last night. There's an apartment building located, I believe it's 24 Orchard Street. It's a 32 plus or minus apartment building, which is subject to that item 26. I came up at the meeting last night within the study that was done for the planning board that the building is a pre-existing non-conforming use. Mr. Fernandez can correct me if I misstated it. And it was built in approximately the 1980s. My understanding of a pre-existing non-conforming use is that it was built legally according to code at the time that it was constructed, and that the zoning or other ordinances changed thereafter, putting it into a non-conforming status. If the building that exists was built in the 80s or potentially even before then it would never have been conforming at the time that it was constructed. It would be illegally constructed. And the item that the council is now debating whether to include it in a area in need of rehabilitation in order to mitigate a lot of the challenges that are created by the non-conforming use are in fact not necessary, because if the use is not actually non-conforming, but in fact illegal, then the city has numerous other remedies that it can take to eliminate the use as it's occurring. And so I'm, as a question, I'm trying to understand why the city is not addressing what appears to be an illegal use at that location.
Mayor, I don't know if you're comfortable offhand with such a question, or is this something that you'd like to consult with, and perhaps at our next meeting have an answer at some conclusion at that? Very good, sir. Thank you. Mr.
Yeah,
Fernandez.
so
This is in reference to the item 26 on tonight's agenda?
yes, for the designation. So exactly when the building was built and the ordinances at the time, we don't have on hand, but it is a legally occupied structure. So it's not an illegal building. It is a non-conforming building because it does not comply with any of the permitted uses under the current zoning. So to say that it's an illegal building that was built without permits and it has certificate of occupancies, it's been inspected by the code enforcement office. It is a legally existing building that can be occupied, but it is a non-conforming building in the fact that it doesn't conform to any of the uses that are in that zone. So that's where the non-conformity comes in. Mr. Goldman is not incorrect that under the law, there are pre-existing non-conforming uses that pre-existed the writing of the ordinance and hence are entitled to continue, right? And then there's buildings that have gotten approvals that, receive the use variance that are still, they're non-conforming with the zone, but they receive the use variance to be able to be occupied in that zone. So the fact that the legal term of pre-existing non-conforming is correct, that it existed prior, it's still, the fact is that that building is a non-conforming building because it doesn't meet any of the uses, even if it got an approval, a use variance from, let's say, a zoning board.
So if in fact that building were removed and another one put in its stead, would it also by definition be non-conforming?
Say that again?
If that building would be vacated and a new building, a new structure would be built on that same space, does it then continue to be non-conforming, or is it?
No, so it's based on the use, so it would depend on what is replacing that building.
Okay.
Yeah, and where that stemmed from the meeting is that you'll have before you the designation process, and we looked at every single property and the uses of every single building that is being designated, and all of those buildings are non-conforming uses, right? So what does that mean? That yes, this building that has 32 units, a multifamily building is not allowed. And it just so happens that the other properties that are part of this are also non-conforming. There are 3 families and 4 families, which are also non-conforming with the zone. So that's kind of where the non-conforming conversation came from.
Right, so if I can, sorry, thank you for the clarification. The other buildings that are, sorry, may I continue?
I'll give you another 2 minutes.
Thank you. The other buildings are older buildings that certainly apparently predate the zoning within the city, so it's not surprising that they're pre-existing non-conforming uses. This building seems to exist post that zoning. So, and it could be that there is some approvals that were done when it came up at the meeting last night. They weren't discussed, but obviously how that building was permitted and whether those permits were granted legally. In other words,
Mr. Goldman, I'm going to interrupt for just a moment because it seems to me that we're entering into a very technical discussion, which is not within the purview of this council, at least not at this time. If you'd like to go on with other areas, that would be fine, but to delve down in this right now is not.
No, I appreciate that, and I guess I can follow up with the business administrator after the meeting. It sounds like this should be information that the administration should be able to
Administrator makes himself available 24/7.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you to the council.
Anyone else like to address the council at this time?
There are no hands. I move to close the public portion.
Second. Motion and second to close. Roll call.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's a pleasure to have you here, as it always is. I think you missed one meeting and whatever. We, Council would, of course, value your work. Should I be asking you now? Would you prefer speaking at the end of the meeting? Is there a more apropos time? Very good, sir. With the council's permission, we're up to communications. Items 1 through 5. Are there any questions, please, on 1 through 5? Seeing no hands, is there a motion to move it?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. On items 6 through 13. Are there any questions, please, on 6 through 13? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 6
Move.
through 13?
Move.
Second.
Move in second on 6 through 13.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Same.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes. On 14 alone, please, is there a motion to accept?
Yes.
Motion is there,
Second.
motion and second on 14.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Abstain.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, we're up to resolutions, please. Item number 6 on our agenda. Number 15 is a resolution authorizing closed executive session. Do we need closed executive?
No, Council President.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Fernandez? Mr. Madison? Very good, sir. Members of the council. All right, if we can go on, please, to items 16 through 26. 16 through 26. Councilman Love.
Yes, Council President, to the business administrator and mayor, just clarification, at least I don't remember seeing this ever. Alternate bid 1, and what is that breakdown? In terms of, I'm sorry, for 20 and 21. At the bottom, it's just basically, I want to assume, but why when I have the professionals here?
So basically what happens, we have a base bid, right? And we establish what everyone has to, like, that's what the project's gonna be. And then we have alternates so that we can try to spend the entire amount, right? So we'll put in a handful of alternates and we hope that we can award them. So if the bids come in low, we can award additional roads. If the bids come in high, then it limits the amount of roads we can do. So this, in the local public contracts law, you have to put in the alternates in order. But so I'll give you an example. If I were to put all of these alternates as the base bid, and it came in too high, right?
You got bid over.
We got to do it all over again. So what we do is we
Which-
pick a smaller project. That's the base bid, like let's say the worst street of the worst. And then we do alternates. And depending on how that bid comes in, if there's enough money, we'll
We're gonna
award as
assign
many as possible.
Alternates, we'll assign.
Alternates, right?
Okay.
The base bid, you
It's
always
fair.
have to have the base bid. If you can't do the base bid, then you can't award anything. So the
Okay.
base bid is the project, and then you have alternates, like additional streets to that project.
Okay.
In this
All right.
case, yeah.
And if you didn't have the alternates, and I'm just trying to make myself understand, you did a great job. So if you didn't have the alternates and there was money left over, you would have to rebid again for the rest of the project.
That's right.
Okay.
And in some cases, the grant won't allow you.
To do that.
Right,
So
you bid, you're only allowed to bid it once.
Once.
And then, right.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Business Administrator.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Middleton?
Thank you. Were we eligible for any reimbursement from FEMA from this past storm?
Yes, we're currently working on submitting that In fact, I think by tomorrow, we have to submit all of the paperwork.
Great. And then real quick on item number 18 and 19. These weren't for city buildings. What was?
Yes, that's for every single building.
So 18 was an overage for the 2-year contract, and then it's a new contract going out for 19. Is that what it is?
Yep.
So the one.
So what happened in 18 is that there was a major repair, which was the bulk of the change order at the fire department. So that's why that one went up. It was like almost $50,000 of the whole thing that went over. And then what happened is ultimately Benmar, which was the company we had, was bought out by another company, right? So then we bid it out again, and they were the lowest bidder, and it's again for another 2-year term. That's 19. 18 was an overage from the last, and that was because of the major repair at the firehouse.
About 80.
The new vendor for the city is giving a savings of $45,000 over 2 years. Is that what I'm reading here?
Say that again?
19 is the new vendor,
Yes.
and they're giving a $45,000 decrease from what you were paying before, or what we were paying before in the prior 2 years. So that's a
Yes.
savings of $45,000.
That's what it says, yeah. Award approximate amount of $135,000.
What's the catch?
That's
I don't know, maybe all of a sudden, there's a lot more
There's a
hours
lot more
thrown in there that I don't know about.
Yeah.
change order.
Maybe for that, don't say that too loud, because, they got to bid again. They got to bid again. I don't want to say that too loud. Let me just.
I'd like to see that, but yeah. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome back, Councilman.
Yes.
We've missed
To the
you.
rain and the cold.
Thank you.
We're leaving Puerto Rico at the end of the meeting. We understand you're covering the bases here for the council.
Thanks. On 19, this is not including my material, right? On 19,
Say that again? No, so it won't do, it's maintenance, it's not equipment. And just, there's a misprint, and I wish you were right, but it's 186,000, so it's actually 6,000 more. So I know what it says on the title, but if you look at the actual resolution, because when you said that, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. It's actually 186.
Yeah, 19.
thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, can we come back to 26? And tell me, if you would be so kind, what exactly are we doing
With
26?
This is 135.
So 26 is just a designation. We're designating the parcel of land and area needed rehabilitation so that we can move to the next step of developing a redevelopment plan.
So by the council accepting 26, is it accepting anything? What exactly is it accepting?
It's just saying that this particular parcel meets the statutory criteria. That's all this does. It says that you've designated an area in need of rehabilitation because it meets the criteria set by the statute.
And what becomes the next step?
Developing a plan.
And how is that done?
So in this particular case, there's a developer, a property owner, right, who is going to submit some kind of draft of something that we're going to negotiate from.
Who does the negotiation? Is the city part of that process?
Absolutely.
Because it's not
It's an ordinance and the administration has to present it before the council, so they have to accept the proposal. Obviously, what happens is there are things that they're willing to negotiate and things that they may not. And then that becomes a topic of discussion for the council at the time that plan goes before them.
Is it possible that the owner of the property who wants to do X, Y, Z to the property, that whatever board or council or could deny that?
Well, so the process is the council has it's an ordinance, so the council has the ability to not accept the ordinance.
This is a resolution on 26.
Yeah, this is nothing to do with what you just said. This was the plan. This is just a resolution saying that this property meets the criteria and that you're designating an area needed rehabilitation. They have nothing to do with a plan. It's not an ordinance. This is not an ordinance. This is just saying the study was done. It went to the planning board. The planning board said it met and recommended it, and it comes back here for the designation. That's it. It's by law, it's by resolution.
Does the council have the ability, when presented with the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, does it have the ability to refute it, to say no?
Absolutely. Just like any ordinance.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, there's always discussion and changes. I mean, you yourself have done that many a time on other ordinances.
So in fact, what we're doing is we're taking the next step, but it's a bit of a baby step. There's no commitment on behalf of the city at all.
No.
Okay. I'm reminded also that after the vote on these resolutions, I neglected to have a vote on 5A, so we'll take a separate vote on that. Thank you to Councilwoman Mello, as always. Are there any other questions, please, on the resolutions? You go ahead. Councilman Mayor, please. I'm sorry, I have that light on.
Mr. BA? Mr. Fernandez? In 19, I'm looking at 135.
Okay.
Okay.
It says 43,000. Actually, you know what
Yes.
you're right, I was wrong.
I don't want to be right.
You would do me a favor, please, let's hold this moment, because that is a statement that has rarely been said, because it hasn't needed to, Mr. Fernandez.
So here's the question. Is it 186?
It's
or is it
135.
130. Okay.
I was wrong.
So we're saving $45,000.
Yes, you are. We go back to the same initial statement.
Yes. Good job. So let's say this. Great job, Mr. Fernandez.
No, let's continue to talk about it. Maybe we can make it even more.
Find $2 million somewhere in these ordinances.
Councilman Mayor,
I'm good. Thank you.
any other questions? If not, can I have a motion, please, to accept 16 through 26?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. 5A, separate vote. Is there a motion to accept, please?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second on 5A.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to Roman numeral 7 on our agenda, ordinance for introduction and first reading, number 27. Proposed ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion to accept for set down for second and final reading in our next meeting of March 7th?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. And number 28, please. Proposed ordinance amending City Code of the City of Passaic, Chapter 295, Vehicles and Traffic, Part 10, Residential Parking Permits, Article 21, Residential Parking Permit Requirements. Is there a motion, please, to accept for set down for second and final reading at our meeting of March 17?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to 29, please. Councilman Mayor, your light is on.
Yeah, just a quick question. When this is for, on 28,
On 28, yes, sir.
we're looking to do residential permanent parking in the grayed out area, the street delineated. Is that what it is? Yeah. And what was the criteria that this area was chosen?
So it started with residential complaints, especially during the storm, that people were parking on their blocks. There's a lot of small blocks within this area as well. And it literally is the last block. From Brook to Terhune, it's like the last 2 blocks in the city that abuts Clifton. And the idea, similarly to what was passed with the East Side parking permit, people parking from Garfield in, this would make it only Passaic residents overnight. Only Passaic residents overnight would be allowed to park in this area.
Do we know what caused people to park from Clifton or wherever in this area versus?
So people were just looking for parking and it was bleeding over.
There was better plowing in Passaic.
There's also certain areas, Mayor just for there's also certain areas of Clifton also have residential parking permits, which would also may preclude us from parking in Clifton as well. So that might have caused especially with limited parking with all the piles of snow in Clifton as well, that might have bled over into the city.
What I'm getting at, is this like a recent problem that only happened over the past month, or this has been ongoing?
So the email we received from one of the residents that was on Gold was actually an ongoing issue, that some of the people that live in the neighborhood didn't have enough parking and were parking on their little 3-house block, filling up the whole block, and it was tough for them to get in and out of their driveways and things like that. So this should open up a greater amount of parking if we reduce the people that, right? If we reduce people from bleeding into the city, then our residents may have more areas to park in. And well, this is also, one of the biggest storms we had in the last 30 years with over 20 inches of snow. So it was a busy snowstorm.
No doubt. I just want to understand that you got complaints that there's no parking during a snowstorm.
And before.
There's going to be a response to that. And then, hey, look, and then people start going, wait, I can't, why do I need a permit? I was fine for the past 20 years till we had a 20-inch snowstorm.
Yeah. So quite frankly, and I think the mayor has said this sometimes in a lot of meetings, like with $0 down, you can go. And now you have, we're used to have 1 or 2 people in the house share a car. You got everybody has a car in the house. And some of these driveways can only fit like 1 or 2 cars, and they're all bleeding in the street. And that, because of the type of residential neighborhood it is, it's very common that so in that area, I actually lived right around the block on Park, which is also included on this. There are smaller, more modest sized homes with smaller driveways that don't fit as many cars as some of the larger homes that have bigger driveways. So if you have more than 2 cars, that car is bleeding onto the street. In some cases, it's only a 1-car length. And it's not just the Passaic side. It's almost like a mimic on the Clifton side. So, it's very simple for those vehicles to bleed into that area as well. So we needed a delineator. So we started from Brook Ave over, which is only the one. You have Marietta in between, and then you got the 1 block of Terhune. So it's not like, it's literally 1 square from 1 block.
I have 2 more on this, and I'll leave you
alone.
So you got a house, you got 4 kids in college, they're all driving. You got 6 cars for a house. They're all those cars are not eligible for these parking permits?
Yeah, so if they live in the home, they're eligible to get the parking permit. In fact, there's also, Madam Clerk, if you can help me out with just the numbers, because I know we've done several parking permits, because we also have the main avenue parking permits are a little different than the residential ones. We have visitor parking permits that people can get, and each one of the units.
1 visitor permit per household, and then anyone in the household that has a Passaic driver's license can get their permit.
That was my next question, getting to the visitors. So you invited over a family for 2-3 days to spend the holidays with you.
You can get a permit for them.
You have to apply for it, or you automatically have that permit and you now
how do
put it in the
You
window?
can apply for a permit and just keep it at home for whenever you need it. But if you need for those additional guests, you would have to come in and request those before.
So you can have one of those passes at home. That's it. Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, this is something that, I know we've talked about this in the past, because Fourth Ward definitely needs it. Because the Fourth Ward, and Second Ward, where we do have a lot of the auto mechanics that bring their cars, leave them out. And we've had residents really complain about them because they will keep the cars and then residents cannot park. So I think this is something, because I know we've spoken about this, but this is definitely those wards that have more body shops.
Because I know we did pretty much all the first ward, because that's the whole east side is done. Then we did the Main Avenue one. And then I know
Barry
where we were
Place.
looking into the Highland Burgess area one.
Yeah,
So
so
we're
then
in
we
the
have,
process of that one. And then this one.
yeah,
I think, right, Mayor? I think that.
Councilman, we attempted to address the mechanic and auto body issue directly through ordinances and policies. However, through our zone parking permit initiatives, obviously in the initial implementation, there has been pushback. And then after about a month or two, the residents see the benefits as there are less vehicles on the road from other areas, and they begin to express buy-in. So we've gotten slowly. It's been a gradual effort to try to address the congestion within our city. As the business administrator articulated, there's been an increase of vehicle ownership. We've seen it. Obviously, further exacerbating issues with mechanics parking their vehicles on the road. Some of our neighboring municipalities, like Garfield and Wellington, that have overnight parking permits, Clifton as well, certain areas closer to our borders make it more attractive for residents to park right over the border into Passaic and leave their vehicles there. But in these small areas where we've noticed an increase of parking concerns, we've implemented them in zones and we've seen them benefit the residents. Again, as any transition of initiatives first presented, there's always pushback. But we've seen some positive feedback. Hopefully, as we continue to identify areas, we can target it specifically. But it is something that we are seeing is a benefit. We want to be careful with it. I know in the past when we've tried to broadly apply the concerns of one area throughout the entire city, there have been concerns raised as to whether this would send the wrong message or impede individuals from wanting to come to the city, whether visiting or shopping or otherwise. But the model that we've seen most effective is the overnight parking permit, specific hours, whether from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m.,
okay.
because it really prevents the individuals from just leaving their vehicles in our city, especially where otherwise they would find a driveway or park in their city. But we are getting more and more requests from residents in every ward to really look closely at parking permits.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Councilman Monk, is your light on, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is, yeah. Yes,
Councilman Monk.
thank you. There's no, on this map, this resolution,
If we could ask you to speak a bit
Yeah, sure.
louder, Councilman.
there's a few side streets that actually jut out from, like, for instance, Anton Street. There's like 3 homes that are not, right, there's little side streets there that go, I believe I believe that is that already Clifton? Halfway down Anton? That's already Clifton?
Yeah, so.
So you include all those little side streets off to you? Okay, fine, okay.
So, in fact, some of the biggest issues are on those little side streets.
Right.
So if the gold, you can't see the Gold Street is the one next to Anton, that's a dead end.
That's what that includes, right, that's pretty much the border.
And then you have Anton, which is 3/4 of the road, and then on Park Avenue to the city line. So that delineation is the city line. So basically, it's from the city line to Brook Ave.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Councilman Lau, please.
Yeah, just real fast on ordinance 29. I think I kind of read through enough to understand, but I just want to be sure. Trout, you can take the fish at this point.
That's why they told us we needed to change our ordinance. We had a catch and release, and
Yeah.
they're like, you can keep the trout now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't keep them. But I thought I was reading, but still,
I mean, there's still catch and release for other fish.
but hooks are still hook and line.
Yes, you
still
can't
not.
have, it has to be hook and line. You can't do like a net or something. It's very specific.
Okay, all fishing except by hook and line is specifically prohibited.
That's right.
Okay, so hook and line is
Only
the
hook
only.
and line.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
There's no fish.
Yeah, I got to get back into it. The mayor is sharp, man. The mayor goes out there and just catch them like, he's shooting 3-pointers.
Madam Clerk, we're on 29.
Correct.
The fishing initiatives with the fire department and police have become extremely popular every year, along with our camp out. It's one of the highlights in the morning where the youths come. Those who couldn't camp out will come in the morning to go fish, but stocking the Hughes Lake and the fishing, but we're seeing a lot of people who want to take the fish with them.
Yeah,
Definitely swordfish.
yeah. Only the traps.
Madam Clerk, we're on 29.
Yes, sir.
On 29, an ordinance amending Chapter 203 Parks and Playgrounds to amend Section 203-4 Third Ward Park regarding fishing at Hughes Lake in order to conform with the New Jersey Fish and Game Law and facilitate participation in New Jersey DEP Fish and Wildlife Spring Trout Stocking Program. Is there a motion, please, to accept for second and final reading at our meeting of March 17th? Please?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to 30, please. Proposed ordinance amending Chapter 317-30B, Sub 8, Affordable Housing Mandatory Set Aside. Councilman Mayor, please.
We did a lot of affordable housing in the past couple of meetings.
Yes.
Is this going backwards on it?
No, it's actually clarifying. So apparently, it still wasn't clear enough. So what we did in this one is specify exactly where you go find it. That's why we specifically said you go to the schedule of regulations, look at the use that you're proposing. That's where you find your density, and based off of that is where you do your set aside and you round up or down from there. So even though the only time you see density is in the schedule of regulations, there was still confusion. In fact, as late as this afternoon, Susie and I were looking at it, and she's like, yeah, no, this makes a lot more sense to me now as well. So we made it very, very specific so that there's no confusion. We led you right to the section. If anybody's confused now, they're not reading the ordinance. They're looking at something else. But basically, this doesn't change anything the council's passed except the way we frame, the verbiage we use to direct you to the section. That's it. But it's the same meaning as was intended from the very first ordinance that you passed.
Thank you.
Any other questions on 30? On 30, or on 30 or 29, I'm sorry.
30.
On 30, an ordinance amending Chapter 317-30B, Affordable Housing Mandatory Set Aside. Is there a motion, please, to accept for set down for second and final reading at our meeting of March 17th?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Payment of bills, please. Are there any questions on the bills as presented by the clerk?
See a lot of refunds.
Seeing no lights, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills? Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call on the bills.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Administrators report, Mr. Fernandez.
None at this time, sir.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Mayor, sir.
Mr. President, today we have the Office of New Americans from the state of New Jersey present to not-for-profit organizations and faith-based organizations in the city at City Hall. It was an extremely successful meeting. where they explain to leaders of not-for-profits and religious institutions the resources available throughout the state of New Jersey, the Office of New Americans, which deal with refugees and those seeking asylum, as well as those who are in the process of dealing with their immigration status. It does not itself provide legal services, nor does it involve itself in regards to getting in between immigration enforcement and individuals. However, it does provide information regarding all the resources available. It connects families to these resources, ranging from mental health support, family services when families are separated, funding available for those who are in detention or potentially about to be deported, legal aid support. They work with a number of partners ranging from Catholic Charities to Rutgers University Legal Department and many others throughout the state. This agency was formed in 2019, July 4th, under the previous governor's administration. However, after COVID, I don't want to say it lied dormant, but there wasn't as much activity. It recently, for obvious reasons, has found itself in a position of greater interest around the state. There are presently 15 states that have offices of New Americans, and we are one of the few municipalities that have had them present and work directly with our not-for-profit organizations. In this upcoming month, we will have an expungement clinic in the city of Passaic. It's been highly requested by not-for-profit organizations and residents. Our assistant, Chisenia Kakias, with her legal background as an attorney, will be directing this initiative with organizations from around our area. Yesterday at our seniors center, we had a particular presentation regarding energy and electric bill savings through solar panels. It is a remarkable initiative, council members, and a letter was sent out to our residents, but we will be hosting additional community town hall meetings where you can save up to 31% of your energy costs with solar panels that do not go on your property. Meaning if you are in an apartment, you can sign up. If you're home, they place the solar panels in a property outside of your home, sometimes outside of our city, sometimes far away from our city, as far as South Jersey, where they'll find, let's say, a warehouse. I can see the eyebrows of Councilman Monk raised, so let me try to elaborate. They'll find a warehouse with about 100,000 square feet of roof, and they'll place the solar panels there because of funding that was provided years ago to the federal government and state tax credits, or rather state energy reimbursement credits. They apply that energy savings to homes in communities like ours, where you have income eligible residents, as well as those who do not fall under the income eligibility. To give you some idea of what that means, if you're a one-family home, a one-person home, you can't make more than $72,000. For individuals who are income qualified, you see the savings within 6 months. If you make a lot more than that, you still qualify. You just don't go first on the list. You'll begin to see the savings about a year after that. So it's almost a set it or forget it. You apply. But again, you don't need permission from your landlord if you're paying the electric bill, because there are no panels put on the actual building. The energy actually is coming from a separate location, but the benefit is to the residents. We're on a very aggressive initiative to spread the word. Please look out for your emails as we will send the information through the clerk. But so far, we've had over 330 residents sign up in the city of Passaic. We've sent out a lot of communication, but as you can imagine, some residents receive them, and they say it's from the city. It must just be either tax bill.
Yes.
It's too early for that. Also, I wanted to share with you that our phlebotomy classes have filled up. Once again, they've become extremely popular within our city. These classes for job trainings ranging from SORA license to lab technicians to phlebotomy to CDLs and much more. But that actually ties into a particular bill that our council president in his role as assemblyman may be familiar with. The state just presented, I believe, legislation through Senator Lagana regarding unemployment and our unemployment agencies, our labor force agencies, to direct unemployed individuals to get into the healthcare field and receive training, because data has shown that there is a drastic drop in eligible individuals going into these fields. That is extremely important for us because we've been doing this training in various areas of the medical field, but we will now see if it obviously it has gone out of committee, if it's signed by the governor. They will see an immediate push for those who are unemployed to be trained and sent directly into the healthcare field. So that is exciting. I want to let you know that we recently had a meeting with representatives from the Attorney General's office, Jennifer Davenport, and I spoke to her personally regarding our efforts considering FIFA coming here and event-driven activities of that magnitude, including Super Bowls and things of this nature. One of the concerns, and this is more of a dark topic, is that there is an increase of incidents of human trafficking. When you have incidents like that, whether hotels, Airbnbs, factories and warehouses where they identify individuals that are in these areas. We've been working on activities like this since the Super Bowl was in New Jersey. We've been extremely successful in identifying areas, businesses, online communications that fall into these categories or red flag, are red flagged by our police department. They actually reached out to us to find out what we were able to do over the last few years that have been successfully recognized in terms of our efforts in shutting down any businesses that operate within the definition of what can be considered human trafficking. Unfortunately, there are so many incidents, and sometimes people associate human trafficking with just sexploitation, but it can also be labor. Individuals that are trafficked or transported into the country and forced to work in some businesses like hair braiding or salons, or as maids or nannies at 0 to no pay for extended hours in the entire day, with holding their papers, passports, or with some kind of debt presented before them that they would have to pay back. And there will be an educational component that we will be a part of over the next few months, working alongside hotels, educating the community how to easily identify incidents like this. Again, I reiterate, we've had town hall meetings and presentations over the last 6 years with this, but most recently with FIFA coming in. With the Super Bowl, which is usually one day, with a week buildup, FIFA will be many, many days. And with individuals coming from around the world, it is at the forefront of many government officials' concerns. It's been spoken about a number of times by our new Attorney General. And I want you to know that along with our chief of the police, I had actually approached the Attorney General to present our initiatives, and then we met with the head of their department to give details as to what we have done and share our desire to collaborate with them in any way possible to get the information out. With that stated, I wanted to share that there is the reception, or rather the receiving of Amendment 5A. I did want to share because the business administrator had asked me about it regarding $3 million. Council President, members of the City Council, regarding the efforts to construct a potential parking deck. Many of you are familiar. Me and Councilman Mayor discussed it often and in detail over the years. I shared with him over the year of my capstone project. Many of you were aware when I did the presentation at the Dayton Avenue complex. I was able to share directly with the council president that it was the topic of my capstone project for Rutgers. In fact, me and him had extensive conversations on my frustration that the SDA does not fund parking. I shared with the council president in his role as an assemblyman that one of the frustrations I had when they did the Dayton Avenue complex, understanding the SDA does not provide for parking, and that it was a perfect storm there with our distribution centers, the warehouses, obviously a more densely populated area, and with the school that unfortunately there is no parking, so that I would be pursuing funding for the Dayton Avenue complex parking deck. I've actually presented it over the years to the city council in my reports, a number of them. when I'm given the chance in the morning. But we've applied for a few years for funding. I actually had joked with our assemblyman about us potentially getting another bite of the apple for funding, which the assemblyman joked back. I don't think so. But that is to his credit, he accurately, we have not gotten additional funding from the state for it. I did share that I would pursue additional funding for that parking deck, that it would be a number of three major projects. I think I shared with Councilman Monk when we sat there once that there is the Aspen Place project. It's a big one. The parking deck in Dayton Avenue and Parker Avenue. I joked here in front of the council in a number of meetings where I said, well, the name Parker Ave is already there, so all we need is additional Parker for the avenue. But I share that because I sometimes share so much when I'm given the opportunity to give the reports in the morning that I just wanted to update. We did pursue funding, federal funding. We actually had applied for $15 million. We did not receive $15 million, as you guys can imagine. We had applied initially with Congressman Pascal and met with his office about it. And again, I remember some of you were aware of the town hall meeting at Dayton Avenue, and the school was present there. The school attorney was familiar with it. We actually discussed with him in detail of a mutual agreement, or an agreement that we can make for the use of the parking lot to join and talk to the diocese. With that stated, we received $3 million. $3 million is obviously enough to get the conversation moving, not enough to construct the parking deck. I remember when I was called and asked, and again, I thank Councilman Mayer, who took some interest in my capstone project in Rutgers, and I had shared with him the idea of using that. That was the topic of our parking deck. And I even presented pictures of the meetings that I had regarding presenting it, and information of presenting it in front of the council with the dates in case anyone needs to be sort of more familiar with it. With that stated, we will continue to apply. And one of the challenges we had is we wanted to repurpose $4 million that we have received when Congressman Pascal was in the office to that project. And this federal government administration said, give us back our $4 million. So they did take back the $4 million, which obviously was okay because our parking deck was completed, but would not allow us to use it for a second parking deck. They said you have to apply again next year, which has been their response a lot in terms of funding for different projects. I say all this to recap so that you understand that coming next year, we're looking to apply again. They've apparently started a new policy where you can only apply now for $4 million. So prior, you could apply for the 15 million. You might get 7, you might get 8. Their new direction is no municipality can apply for more than $4 million for a single project. You can apply for different projects. I think it's up to 2 projects, or is it more? 2 projects, $4 million, which begs the question, how do we decide these projects? I think that over the course of the year, we have conversations such as, in this one, parking permits, or we consider FIFA, or we may discuss an issue of recreation, a need in the city, or a park, or a partnership with the county. And in the presentations and in the mayor's update, I may share that we're looking to get funding. In the future, we're going to look to have more specific, on the record reports of these conversations, because we understand sometimes when the funding comes in, it's easy to say, remember, we talked about this for the last 2 years, but then people go, when, how, when did you mention? And we go, that's fair. So for the future projects, when we discuss them here, I think it would be helpful, and we'll submit them to the clerk to let you know when we're going to apply for these fundings, because that's all it is application. I mean, obviously, we have the hope, optimistic, that we would receive it, but when a senator or a congressman says, what projects do you have? And they say, you can go up to 4 million, or you can go up to 2 million. We consider the needs of the community. This is a major project. I will admit I've been working on it for going on 4 years. I identified the area one day driving down Dayton Avenue and realized 2 parking lots connected to each other would make an ideal location for a parking deck. After the completion of this parking deck, when some people say that's not possible, and now we can see it, very tangible evidence of working together and being committed to a vision, started pursuing this parking deck with a lot of effort. I believe we can get it done. I think ultimately there are compelling reasons why in the most condensely or more densely populated area with so much traffic and a Dayton Avenue educational complex for thousands with no parking created. And we sometimes say, well, why teachers? And go, well, there's also custodians and paras and support staff and parents and with houses of worship there and families and businesses. The idea of just making structures without parking doesn't make sense, especially when we're arguing about snowstorms and streets and things of this nature. So I want to give you a quick recap on the 3 million. And then finally, and this is just revisiting what Councilman Mayor has shared about the snow. One of the other initiatives that we're looking towards, Councilman, is potentially signs during snowstorms, even though this one was unlike any that we had in 30 years, of converting some of our streets into one-ways when there's snow. We had a conversation briefly about that. It's not something that we've seen, so we have to explore it a little more with engineers, but we've realized there are a number of streets where if we get a snowstorm like this one, actually, you know what? This one was better than the one that came before. The one that came before, to give you some perspective, we spent close to $200,000 in additional funding for snow removal because of the 2 weeks of temperature not over 30 degrees. Yes. It was extremely difficult for snow removal. Here, when you compare, we spend under $30,000 to remove the amount of snow. And you saw the reaction of the community. You did a great job. That doesn't always work out where you spend less and do more, I understand. But because of the nature of the storm, the reason why I refer to that is because that first storm left certain streets unable to withstand two-way traffic. Right. So these are some of the measures that we're exploring, and I want to let you know beforehand. And obviously, again, as to what I was sharing with our assistant here, to make note of it so that we will have that for you on record as part of our meetings, so that when we revisit these policies or ordinances in order to address this, everyone can have the same point of reference. That is the extent of any reports that I would give. Any questions, of course?
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
In terms of the money coming from Congressman Poe, that's obviously federal money.
That is.
We have any indications from the states? Do you have any indications whether that would include Senator Kim and Senator Booker?
So I submitted an application to Senator Booker, as well as to Senator Kim. They both shared it's the same administration up there. Washington hadn't changed from the first time that we requested the funding, but they will submit it. They could provide us with more funding. I want to give realistic expectations. We're not getting $12 million from them. To complete this project would be about $15 million. If we can get an additional $4 million to $5 million, that would get us a really long way. We could possibly do half of the deck of the 400 spaces that I had presented in that town hall meeting. It's been covered in the paper a number of times for the past year, this particular parking deck. The goal is to get over 400 spaces there in the Dayton Avenue complex. I think some of us who are into this stuff, we saw the governor publicly share that the state is facing some economic challenges. That just a little bit, right? Assemblyman, you're aware, and I believe there's a budget address that will occur Tuesday, where she may echo those sentiments or repeat them again. We would hope that we can get funding, unless there's some private donor or we find another creative source, which will look under every rock possible. We believe this parking initiative is extremely important for the downtown area. I mean, it is the entrance and exit to Route 21. If you think we have parking issues in the other wards, second ward and third ward, when it snowed over there, it is horrendous. I think all of you can attest to it as you receive the complaints. But the parking deck that we had here was of great benefit during the storm, that people can park there in general. But again, a school of that size to serve that many people. And I understand the SDA. I called the SDA directly at the time. I was frustrated as mayor. They were adamant they do not fund parking. Even with our new high school, it's been something that they've shared. They will build the school, but they will not allow any of the funding to go for parking. That is up to the municipalities to figure out how to accommodate. So that is one of the challenges. We get the benefits of the schools. They're wonderful. But without the parking, they do become a bit of a burden. And if you want to see it, just drive by there in the morning. And the other thing is, for the next 3 to 4 years, remember that the high school, while it was closed, redirected all of our students to the downtown area. So not only is it more density, it's become even worse now with parents and individuals leaving their vehicles there with nowhere to park. Our teachers, Home Depot had recently decided the teachers can no longer use their parking lot. So it's been a real challenge down there
I can attest to that. I drove off my son.
in that area.
Yes.
But again, to the point initially, I know, and I've stated it, I've brought it up, we have it on record, it's been in the paper, covered, and the presentations have occurred here in the council, mentioning it in my updates. But I think when it comes to these applications, it is important that we can take an additional measure of including the council and letting them know when we're following up on these things, because then we'll end up with the money and people go, where'd the money come from? And why do we choose these applications over others? But we had agreed collectively that the parking issue was one of the priorities in the city as a whole. And that's why through my administration, I've been directing not only that, but as many of you recall, updating the council every time we find space and turning it into a parking lot. Actually presented it during the meeting where I presented all the parking lots, the Jefferson one, the Brook Ave with the Main Ave corner. In that presentation of all those little parking lots that we converted on River Drive into additional public parking, I had shared that we would be going after funding for the Parker Avenue parking deck. And, so hopefully we can get that much money. But okay, that's the extent. Unless there's any other questions, that's it for me. Yes, that's what I said earlier. We applied again. Yeah, we applied for this year because we only have the 3 million. We keep the funding for about 2 years, but if we do not use it for that specific project, it goes back. The city of Passaic has an amazing track record of using the funding that we receive. We don't give money back. Even that 4 million, we never gave it back. It was actually given to us and we were supposed to be able to use it. And there was a change of in case some of you heard of the administration, there was a different president. So there was an election this year. And they started taking some of the money back and withholding some of the funds.
Councilman Mo, please.
There's 2 questions. So is there any data in terms of the parking deck here across the street?
Councilman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just asking, is there any data in terms of the parking deck across the street, this new parking deck, regarding occupancy? How many cars are parked there, average a day, a week?
Yes, we are generating that. I mean, obviously, during the storm, we allowed for free parking. Right. So that would not be good data. And it's becoming more and more popular. But we are looking to give you accurate data by June. We want to make sure that we have a good sampling of what we expect for the whole year. But to the business administrator who leads our parking authority, do you have numbers that you can share there?
No, off the top of my head. I do not have those numbers, but like the mayor said, it's extremely popular. It's been extremely helpful. We did our first set of parking passes with the new retro, that's not retro.
Planet Fitness.
What is it?
Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness. I confuse all the gyms. That's how often I go, right?
From Retro Fitness to Planet
From
Fitness.
Retro Fitness to Planet Fitness. They went ahead and bought over $3,000 worth of passes to give to their clientele. They pay 2 hours in advance, so that when you go work out there, they'll give you the sticker. You can go in and out of the deck. So we're not just relying on the people that are parking and just paying, coming in and out. We've also done the passes, and we're in the process of negotiating with the supermarket, who's also interested in doing the same thing across. So those are things I know off the top of my head. Obviously, I would have to run the reports, the daily reports, so you get an idea. But like the mayor said, running them for the next 2 weeks, I mean, the gates were open. we're like, please get off of the street, go onto the deck so we can clean the street.
If we're looking at revenue, which is the easiest way for us to keep track of them, this was difficult season because we have that extended holiday where we do the 2 weeks before Christmas, all the way up to Three Kings, which is January 6th. And then immediately leading out of January, we started going into the storms where everyone can go in for free. We know it's much more popular overnight because it's free overnight for residents. So we know that. Outside, there's an indicator that tells you whenever the lots are full. So we are generating that. But Councilman, is there a specific number that you're looking for? Are you looking for revenue or are you looking for?
No, more in terms of occupancy.
Yeah.
How many spots are in that?
309. But to be accurate, during the daytime, there's a number that's reserved for employees who also have to contribute.
I'm curious if we were consistently at 30%, 50%, 80%. Just curious what, we're in terms of like, this is a segue into my next question. And that is, maybe you talk about Dayton Avenue, a parking deck of 450 cars.
Yeah.
What's the science of 450 as opposed to 550 or 350? Is there any type of study that was done in terms of what the demand is? And the reason I'm asking is, maybe we don't need 15 million. Maybe 250 is enough for that area, and we can do it for 8 million. And maybe possibly we should do smaller decks in different parts of the city to take some of the pressure off many different retail areas where we're having, instead of trying to do 450 in one spot, try to break it up. Again, it depends on what the demand is. I don't know if there's a study that will give you some of those numbers.
So yes, there's a study. That's why I had alluded to or talked about my capstone project. I had to present the traffic study in the area and obviously the usage, the residents, and the permits. Right now, the church lot actually provides parking to residents overnight. They would have a specific need to maintain some of the parking for their congregation. But how do we come up with 450 or 410 or 310? Logistically, we look at the size and what's possible. We look at the maximum amount of parking that can go into a deck. Once we get that number, we get how much it would cost. And then we put in an application. Considering now the federal government, and it was similar prior, where you only get 2 projects, up to $4 million. And the likelihood that they're going to fund both projects is very low, 0. You get one project. So we try to identify how much can we get and how much can we do at one time, understanding how, forgive me, how fickle representatives and legislators can be. Sometimes they can be excited about a project at the beginning and then later decide this isn't the most popular project for us to get behind. So we can get the 15 million after they check out the measurements, just if it's possible to put the maximum there, that's what we apply for. The practicality of us saying we're going to apply for 10 different lots for 10 different sources, we're not going to get funded for them. Basically, funding works like that. You put in 1 or 2 applications a year, and you typically get one big one.
Right. So
Yes,
sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just before you go, because I don't want to move on to the next topic, is there's also a trigger point where the cost for the foundation of the deck, it's actually cheaper as you go up, right? So a 2-story deck may cost you almost the same as if you built the 3rd story, because you've already set up so that the sweet spot, like the mayor is saying, you're somewhere in the size of next door, which is about 4 to 5 stories. And when you run the 4 to 5 stories to get you a reasonable cost per parking space, because that's another thing, this area kind of gave us that number, right? So when you do the 4 or 5 stories based on the roughly 40,000 per spot to get you up to that spot, it led you to the 4 or 5-story building, because in a parking deck, it's not financially recommended to do of that size, just to do like 2 stories, because you just spend all your money on the 2 stories, where the price of the next 2 stories, right, significantly reduce the cost of the space. Even though I get what you're saying, you only got $8 million, just do the 2 stories. But I'm saying from a dollar standpoint, you want to build the extra story, because that reduces your cost per spot significantly. I mean, just going from like a 2nd story to a 3rd story significantly drops the cost of the spot.
Right. But if you don't need those extra parking spots, so really the parking spots that you do need are going to cost you that amount anyway, if not more, because you don't need the fourth floor, the fifth floor. And let's say we'll see an example. Let's say down in Dayton, you only need 250 spots, right? So you're right. It's cheaper, right, to build 450. But if you go to say to the government, instead of give us 15, all we need is 9. Do we have a better shot? That's all we really need in that area. Do we have a better shot next year of getting another 7, 8, as opposed to if we ask for 15, we only need 15. That the next 2 years we're out of the game and we don't have the opportunity to build something in another area of town. That's all. That's
Understood. It's a fair point. It's a fair point, though. I would argue there's definitely a need in that area. Considering the Dayton Avenue complex alone itself justifies 250 by itself. But the homes in the area and the lack of parking there, including the additional schools, not just our public schools, but the additional charter schools that have gone in the area, the distribution centers, the increase of traffic by some of our properties, whether Factory 220, the restaurants, there's a lot of justification and compelling arguments to be made.
right. And that's why I'm curious also to see, I guess, obviously, a full year of data will give you a better handle what's going on.
Yeah.
Parking deck across the street.
That's why
Are we
wanted to wait till
consistently
June.
60% or consistently 85% full to give us okay? What are our true needs?
But every section is not made the same.
Understood.
So one would argue, especially in that area where the majority of housing does not have driveways. So these are 2, 3 family, 4 families with pre-existing. I mean, we're talking about old building. None of them have any driveways. And then and this is what the mayor's trying to say, you compound the fact with, not hundreds, but like thousands of people moving in and out of that area. The need, I would argue, is, if not more than what the deck across the street is from a residential standpoint, where this is more a mix of residential overnight, commuters during the day, and visitors to the downtown area, right?
Yeah.
So it's,
As well as when you consider and connecting these additional services like our free shuttle that goes right by there, and the idea of individuals just leaving their cars in the parking deck and going to shop in our Market Street, in our downtown area.
Right. No, I understood, but especially what you mentioned about the different needs, like residential parking as shoppers as well, or teachers. Again, it's different hours, right? So if the need is 450 in the area, but at any given time, you only might need 300 because there's day users and night users. Why spend the money and put it somewhere else? Put a smaller deck, put 100 lot.
That's a great point.
Somewhere
If
else.
we could get the money for somewhere else.
Yeah,
So that's what goes back to the grant application. The way that the grants are set up, you present one application. I mean, think about the involved conversation we're having about this one project. When it comes to state funding, the federal funding, we can sit here and have opinions and end up with 8 different projects that people think are worthy of the applications. But the reality is that the state will pick 1 or 2, or the federal government will pick 1. We try to do our best to find out which one would have the biggest impact on the city as a whole. We've been really creative. I go back to grabbing little parking lots, taking a piece of grass in a park that is unused and saying, let's convert that and create 50 spaces. Let's do that. 30 spaces here, another 30 spaces on 3rd Street. But when it comes to genuinely addressing the issues of parking, we're limited with the options, right? Like the business administrator said, very few homes downtown have driveways. The idea that we're going to convince people to have less cars, not realistic. We don't have a lot of space that belongs to the city, so we can't grab it. So we have very few parking areas that we can actually do a lot for. If we only have 2 or 3, we want to maximize that and say if we can get 450 parking, considering the trend of increase of cars, we're not building a parking deck for data today. We're building a parking deck for what the city's going to look like 10 years from now, 15 years from now. So even if it doesn't justify it completely today, we see the trend of the parking need growing every single year. Because of that, we try to prepare for that. That's why we look at more spaces than less with the money available. They give us 15 million, great. If we end up getting 7 million, we'll pursue 250 spaces. But I think to the business administrator's point, and look, there are engineers and obviously financial experts that can explain it in better detail. But if they're going, the foundation is the biggest cost, and that costs us the 6 million. And then since it's mostly prefab, the rest is just putting it on top. If we get 7 million and spend 6 on just the foundation and 1 or 2 levels, and it's only going to cost us an additional 3 for every other level, then it just makes sense for us to go for as much as possible now.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes, I'm not going to speak about parking. Yes, there is, we need a lot of parking downtown. But my concern with the snow, first of all, everyone did a great job. You always have 1 or 2 that's going to complain, but our city did a great job. And I was proud to be part of this city when that was happening. I was watching the mayor, I was watching everything going on. I also watched when the DPW truck caught on fire.
Yes.
So my concern is, are the trucks going to be able to handle another snowstorm? Not this year, hopefully, but
Of
next
that
year.
kind? That is a great question, Councilwoman, and I think that it gives us an opportunity to have a very real conversation with residents. I think it's important because most of us get on-hand education as it's going on, right? When you have a DPW coming in for 12 hours, they take a break, and then at the end of their shift, somebody else comes in and covers them. The problem is that then after those 12 hours, someone else covers them. Between those 3 people that have done 36 hours, they've probably gotten about 2 hours each worth of a break. The vehicle doesn't get a break. The person who comes in to relieve the driver of that plow of that vehicle takes that same vehicle. So that vehicle may have been turned off for the 2 hours that you went to lunch. Hopefully you weren't idling or someone didn't switch it in those 2 hours. And for the 15 to 20 minutes it takes to change the shift. So some of our vehicles were working since Sunday when the storm started, all the way to Wednesday with maybe 2 to 3 hours where it's been turned off. This one, the hydraulic lock, that's what actually caused the combustion, the fire inside diesel truck. And the mechanic tried to explain it the best he could to me, that it expands and retracts and expands and retracts, and over a period of time, with overheating, explodes, and then all that liquid is flammable, and that's what occurred. Thank God our driver got out and there was nobody harmed. We don't have a fleet of vehicles to tell people, all right, let's put these 12 trucks away, and these next 12 drivers that come in, grab the other 12 trucks. Trucks range between $150,000 and some can go up to over $200,000. That's why we have in-house mechanics. They basically do the quick fix, put it back out on the road. A nut went loose, we need a replacement part. It's really based on money. Grants are far and few in between, and very few are available for DPW trucks. We have better chances of getting grants for a fire truck, an apparatus, or police vehicle. You would think that there would be more funding for DPW trucks. The truth is, and this is just the reality of the situation, it may snow 10 days out of the year. 10 days out of the year. That means the other 355 days out of the year, no one's thinking about snow. And that's on a pretty bad winter. At best, we have gotten maybe 2 or 3 light flurries. At worst, we got what we got this year. But that's why you heard everyone say every 30 years, or every 5 to 6 years with the ice storm that we got, the frigid temperatures. As to your question, do we have enough vehicles right now to withstand another storm like this? No, we don't have enough vehicles or enough salt. In this particular storm, we had to borrow salt and pay it back. We had to go to some of our sources in the county and elsewhere to get salt. We've had to employ vendors and contractors to help us with their trucks. And some of their trucks even were saying, we've overused them during your storm. It is very difficult. It is a challenge that we face, but not alone. All the municipalities are facing similar challenges. The reason why I was adamant to share that information is perhaps to give some caution to other municipalities and drivers of what to do when this will happen again. But as to your point, it is difficult. We try our best to rotate our vehicles, but with limited vehicles and more residents, what street do we sacrifice? What area do we say we're giving the trucks a rest for 8 hours and then we'll get you guys later? We don't have too many of those opportunities.
Thank you. Councilman Mayor, please.
Yeah. You're discussing giving back funds to the federal government. just that, was there anything going on with the Van Houten Lackawanna pump station? Or the
Yeah, those
for-
funds weren't given back.
Let
Let me qualify. We did not give back funds. We applied to use the funds. The federal government, after the transition of a new congressman, decided that we cannot use those funds or limited how we could use the funds. And we tried to explain to them our project. The federal government said no, but you can apply again. And we did to keep those funds. And they said no, but we'll give you three. We'll take back four. We'll give you three. That's sort of what occurred.
And that pump station, those
We're
funds
moving
are
forward.
safe?
Yes.
Okay.
We do not give back funds. The city of Passaic has not given back funds. Those $4 million that was a unique situation where we were able to complete our parking deck here, and we wanted to use the $4 million to move forward with additional parking, and the federal government said no. They said you could use it here, but to Councilman Monk's point, we weren't going to put 2 or 3 more levels on top of this parking deck because one, it wasn't necessary, and I don't think logistically it would have worked. So they did not allow us to use it, but we fought to keep it. We actually put in multiple requests through the new Congress representative, Nellie Poe, through the senator, and I will share with you because I had the opportunity to be on a Zoom call directly with Speaker Pelosi on a different matter, reached out to her directly to ask. And from everyone, we were told they were not going to allow us to use the $4 million. That you see the check on the second floor. It came in with Congressman Pascal. They were adamant. They put so many restrictions on what we could use it for. Just there was nothing reasonable that we could do with it.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm curious, is there any value to discuss opening up the parking deck to include commercial, to include
We're doing
anything
that.
like that?
That's a good question. Yes, we're doing that. We're creating an opportunity for commercial vehicles up to a certain size because there are weight restrictions, and obviously they must be able to fit into the parking space to use our parking deck. What we're exploring is the fees, whether it's fair to charge them the same fee as a residential vehicle since they are making money off the commercial vehicle. But we have moved forward on presenting an ordinance that would allow, or rather a policy that would allow for commercial vehicles if they pay. It's just figuring out how we would charge them more.
I'm curious also in terms of obviously the available resources that we have that we've been in contact with during your administration, certainly. Bringing in unions, groups like that, is that within the, is that
For the
good?
building of the parking deck?
If any way we could get it in that would yield cash back, yes.
Of course. Look, it's always our goal to work with unions. They've been great partners with us, and wherever we can do it within reason. I mean, our ultimate obligation is to the residents. And as much as we want to partner with different organizations and agencies, at the end of the day, we serve the public. So if we can get a parking deck done with obvious partnerships where the money makes sense, great. But I'll be very candid. My goal is to maximize the opportunities of creating more spaces and spend as little as possible because we don't have a lot of hopes of getting more money. So if we can get $20 million from the state, we'll work with whoever the recommended group is. If we can get up to $20 million, we'll get an amazing parking deck done. If we're getting $8 million, it really limits us on what we can do in that area.
I'm curious also, forgive me on that other level that you just alluded to, if it's not possible that we bring in some of our friends over the years and get them to understand just how fundamentally important this the deck is.
Yes, definitely.
And maybe the request that we have for funding could go hand in hand with requests of other groups to put us on a better plane.
Definitely. That would be most appreciative. I mean, we've reached out, obviously, to all the representatives that we have, but being able to get as many of them together or reach out with a collective voice, like this is a very needed project in that area, and getting that done will make a big difference for our community.
I know that the Passaic County and related legislators are planning to meet And one of the topics obviously is funding.
Yeah.
So this will certainly be on the agenda.
Yeah, sometimes I will share that the interest rates on particular funding opportunities with the county are not necessarily comparable dollars. We actually get a pretty good rate. As you know, the standing through your many years of council and through this collective body's responsible governing, we have a pretty good rating. And the interest that we look to is sometimes better than the county.
There's no doubt, and frankly, the benefit that the county would receive by underwriting the bonds versus having it done somewhere else is not consequential. But what is consequential is if some of our neighboring municipalities, especially the larger ones like Patterson, are going to get, a lot of aid and support as they should, then that certainly would speak well of us as well.
Understood.
Okay. Additional other questions for the mayor? Thank you, sir. Thank you for this very enlightening. There's nothing else that I have on the agenda. Anything from anyone?
Seeing none, move to close.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second to adjourn, please?
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.